So just to get started, I'm assuming Toon Link is your character that you're referring to.
Yeah.
Best friend of the main. Okay, that's fine. Um, I do want to ask, how much experience do you have fighting Olimar? Because I generally don't like to start as Olimar if someone isn't very experienced fighting them, because then you have to not only try to fight someone who's good at the game, but also a character that you might not be too familiar with. So if you're not too practiced, I'll probably go more traditional top tier to start, and we can segue into Olimar different characters as the session goes on.
Hmm. Honestly speaking, I don't think I'm very good at any matchup. So
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine.
honestly, I think whether you play a top tier or Olimar,
I
they're both
will
very
I
the
will
same.
start with Lucina. Nice, simple, straightforward.
I'm very bad against Lucina,
Great.
so this
That'll
will work.
that'll give us something to work on.
I probably would do better against Olimar than I do against Lucina, just because Olimar just ends up as like a camping game for me sometimes.
Okay. What is the most comfortable character you feel fighting?
Um, Rob, Toon Link,
Okay. Do you,
maybe yeah, maybe Ganon.
I can go Ganon. Yeah. Keep it nice and simple. Because right now, what I want to try and do is gauge where you're at as a player and some
Yeah,
things
I
that.
mean you can do Lucina.
Let's do a game or two as Ganon, and we'll go from there. Don't worry. Because either whether I'm Ganon or Lucina, it's not going to make too much of a difference for me. I think early on, because like I said, I'm just trying to kind of get an idea.
Okay. Yeah, because I have kind of a different game plan versus
Of course, of course.
Ganon.
Nice.
Sorry if the connection's a little.
Yeah,
I'm from the West Coast, so
that could do it. If
it's slow.
it's a little rough, I'll check something on my end as I was uploading some of my past lessons, and if it's bad,
Okay.
I can suspend those and see if that helps. Because I know sometimes the upload can slow things down.
Yeah, because I feel like you're probably just missing some of these inputs because of the lag.
No, I understand. Yeah, I'll check my stuff after this and see what helps. And if it's really bad, and you're not wanting to, you don't feel too comfortable trying to practice in it, we can definitely. I could always give you a refund, or we could try it a different day or something, see how it is. Because I know Nintendo is very inconsistent with the quality of their connection.
I promise I can get these packs.
All right, let me try and check my stuff to see if I can. that connection problem.
Meantime, I think my Switch wants to update, so I don't know if it might help.
Yeah, if you want to do that, you can do that real quick. And I can kind of just pick your brain on some stuff while we're waiting for that. So, where do you feel like you're kind of falling short as a whole, or things you're looking to improve on? Because I know you say you want to break out of your character's flowchart, but are there specific things you find yourself struggling with?
Yeah, so I've kind of been having, I guess, like a character crisis. Um,
Okay. What?
More so because I've been playing Toon Link only like since I started playing, and I don't really know like, any other character besides Toon Link. Like, so if you try to
How long have you
play
been
like
playing?
another character, uh, 4 years.
Okay, that's fine. No, I mean I've been playing Olimar for 8 years, so you know, nothing wrong with that.
But lately, I've been feeling like really underwhelmed with him, especially like with the more DLC that comes out. Just like
Yeah,
he has like a
that's
lot
the
of
Smash Brothers effect I've found since.
he has a lot of losing matchups. Like when Mizra came out, I'm just kind of like I don't even think my character has an answer.
Okay.
And sometimes people, a lot of my friends, they've been saying that maybe Toon Link doesn't fit my playstyle. But in a way, like I I try to form my playstyle to fit around Toon Link because I
Yeah.
like playing Toon Link. But I play like a really aggressive Toon Link, I guess, but not in a good way because I don't even know like how to
So
approach properly, so I just
yeah.
end up
So
playing too aggressive, getting punished.
there's a lot to unpack there, and I think I have some similarities with you in that. I mean, I play pretty much only Olimar in any serious capacity, right? And
Mhm.
I tend to be more aggressive in terms of my playstyle than the average Olimar who's like camp. But something I've had to learn over time is that you can try and maintain those unique aspects of your gameplay. Like you could be like an aggressive, within a certain degree, but that doesn't mean you can't recognize when it's time to play a bit more defensive or when it's time to hold a leading camp or take it slow.
Yeah, and
And
that's what I don't understand. And like approaching matchups, I feel like I approach every matchup the same
it
way.
is difficult and it takes a lot of time, but it's not just having played the game because everyone learns subconsciously, but teaching yourself or having someone teach you in this case to actively recognize that type of information is difficult, but I think I can help you try and pinpoint some things about it because that's something that I've been doing a lot with my other students recently is trying to help them get in, like retrain their mind to recognize situations where maybe they make a mistake or they miscalculate a scenario and it doesn't go right. Because when you are fighting someone, even if you're going aggressive or not, when you swing at them, you expect it to work. You go in with the anticipation of this will hit, I will win in that interaction, right? You don't go, I'm just going to lose with this swing or else you wouldn't do it. So when it doesn't work, you ideally want to take a moment after it happens. So let's say you're Toon Link and you forward air me, and I'm playing Mario and I up B you out of shield, right? That in that case you could go, okay, well I shouldn't have done that forward air there. It wasn't safe. So in a future scenario, you've recognized that, so you would know don't forward air Mario again, or maybe do it at a tipper spacing so maybe he can't punish it, or try and use like a bomb or a boomerang to cover you on its way back so you get a little bit of extra protection. And it's a lot of trial and error.
I guess I understand that part, but maybe what I have more difficulty with is sometimes, especially in certain matchups, it feels like Toon Link doesn't really get like a turn to play,
Yes.
and like I know that's just kind of like a wrong mentality to have because sometimes I just have to accept that
I don't
character
I don't want to
is.
focus on the more negative aspects of things because what you're saying is totally understandable. I mean, I have a similar thing with Olimar. My frame rate is not the fastest, so it feels like I fight a character and he's just mashing on me 24/7. And I found that eventually character pressure does stop. Like if you're fighting a Mario, yeah, that back air, that up air, that neutral air, they're super safe. But when he jabs your shield, it's not safe. When he F tilts your shield, it's
Mhm.
not safe. It does
Yeah,
end
because like
eventually.
I fought I entered a Wi-Fi tourney
Hmm.
last week, and I fought Chag
Okay.
Blue, and
Yeah.
honestly, it felt like I only got about 6 hits in. Like I got restocked on
It it could be a couple things. One, Wi-Fi tournaments are difficult. We can just play while we're talking, by the way, so I'm not
Mhm.
wasting your time. Um, Wi-Fi tournaments are naturally more difficult because you can't play off roll reaction. You have to be able to predict and recognize situations as they're approaching because the delay is so big. Um, but another thing to this feels much better.
Yep. Okay.
Um, but another thing to keep in mind is that even with like a character like Palutena, let's say she forward airs her shield. Okay, you might not be able to punish forward air, but if she does a grounded move after, you can punish it if you keep holding shield on those tilts or that jab. And if she jumps to do another forward air, you can also punish that two ways. You can, if she does a rising forward air, you shield it and then you punish because they're rising. So now they don't get that landing lag, which what makes those moves safe. Because a lot of aerials have a long animation, so when you do them rising, they're not actually safe. And if she does if she forward airs your shield and then she falls and does another forward air, in the time she has to jump and then fall, that's the time to hit them. So in the moment, it can be very overwhelming because you'll feel like I don't have an option here, when in reality you might be struggling to recognize those. And that's kind of the basis of what I was telling you about, that forward air Toon Link example on Mario earlier. It's like, yeah, when you talk about it, you can clearly say like, okay, I shouldn't have done that. But learning to recognize those more in the moment, constantly throughout a match, that's hard. And that's a skill you have to practice. You don't just all of a sudden one day go, oh, I want to, recognize every bit of information out there. It's not easy because a lot of people play very subconsciously and passive when they play, and they kind of let muscle memory and a type of autopiloting carry them. And then they'll kind of just zone in momentarily when they need to. But the more aware you are of these things, the better you can get at it. So when we're playing some of these games here, we'll just stick with Toon Link for now, and a little bit later on, if you want to try and talk about a different character, we can do that. But just, when I'm pressuring you or something like that, try and pay attention to where maybe there would be an opening. Sure, that aerial might be safe, that tilt might be safe, but what am I doing after? That can make things not safe. Nice. So you got that game, obviously good. A couple things I did notice, and this might be why you tend to struggle with that type of like overwhelming pressure where you feel like you're not getting a turn, is you might be trying to play that roll reaction gameplay, especially online. I'm not sure how much you play online relative to offline, but learning to recognize situations and go like, okay, I just don't have a punish here, or I can't do that. I need to wait until they give me an opening, is important. And there was an example where I hit your shield. I think it was like a back air, maybe a dash attack or something, and you tried to shield grab. So you have a tether. So not only is that going to be a slower grab than a lot of the average ones, but also you have the 4 additional frames of startup, which happens when you try to shield grab after you've been attacked. So you have a long time before that grab comes out. And if you're doing it off of just straight reacting, you're like, I got hit and now I do it. Since there's that additional delay of online, you're going to be too slow. So what you could do instead is you could go, okay.
Hey, I play 50-50 online.
Okay, and so it's hard to translate between
I
both
play
of them.
like the same.
But it's something to recognize. If you're having to if you're reacting to something and you're going, I see it now, I'll press a button, you're probably too late. So what you could do is you continue to hold shield, or maybe you could jump out of there. Maybe you could pick an option that doesn't always mean attack. It's not Smash Brothers isn't a game of I go, you go, I go, you go. Sometimes they get to go multiple times until they give you an opening, or until you feel comfortable and your timing is appropriate for it. Because if you attack at the wrong time, you can give them an opening.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go!
Nice tag. Fortunate though. Oh, I didn't jump. Nice. That was really good. So, when you said you tend to play a more aggressive Toon Link, and you said you kind of built your playstyle, you think, around just kind of working with Toon Link, do you feel like you play aggressive just because that's how you have more fun with the game, or you're naturally an aggressive player? Because there are people who tend to lean more heavily towards one or the other, myself also being one of those more aggressive players.
Yeah, I mean, I think like my dream is to play like really stylishly, and I think aggression, like an aggressive playstyle,
Yeah.
is stylish.
Are-
But everyone kind of tells me, oh, if you want to play a stylish character, you're playing the wrong character. Like,
Don't listen to what anyone says.
character you
If
want to
you
play lame to win.
enjoy Toon Link, or if you enjoy someone else you end up changing, and you think they're stylish, well, do it. I get told Olimar's
Like-
lame all the time, and I embrace it, and I do some of the sickest shit I've ever done in this game with that character.
I mean, like, I think zoners are cool, and I think they can play cool.
Yeah.
It's just, I also would like to win, and sometimes I feel like I'm not winning. Because, like you said, I don't understand when to switch
Yeah.
up. Like, it's gonna sound really sad, but I don't think I've like ever beaten a DK.
Oh,
Right.
no, dude.
Yeah.
You are in a judgment-free zone. I don't care if you told me you never won a set in your life.
Uh-huh.
I'm here to help you. So what we can do is...
And it's like, if people say that's like a super free matchup for Toon Link or like any zoner really, but
I lost to
I
Little
I
Mac
think-
the other day, and I'm supposed to destroy Little Mac.
yeah, I think it's just like my playstyle.
Yeah. with
field heavy.
with certain characters, so I'm gonna go as Zoner actually as well, just to kind of give you a more slower paced gameplay. Um, but when I play against characters that it should be easier, should be free, it is hard because if you get too aggressive, I do the same thing, and you attack them the wrong way, they now are in their zone. If you're fighting a DK or Little Mac, and you're all up in their face, and they're like, great, this is what I wanted. I don't have the range. I don't have the projectiles. So when you slow it down and you're able to kind of keep them out, that difference can make a really big impact. But it's hard because you can't give someone too much respect. If you just try and play runaway, or if you just try and, slow it down, then they're just going to keep getting on you. Because it's difficult to develop that fine line between let me attack you when I know you're exposed or make you, or just run away. And that's something that, you have to actively think about and work on over time. Like, I can't give you like a blueprint that's just going to say, hey, attack now. Because it changes depending on the player, because you might fight a Mash or, DK or something like that compared to like a different one. It always changes. And that's part of the beauty of Smash Brothers, is that it's not as static as a lot of other things.
Yeah, with Bowser, I thought the game plan was to kind of like camp him out, but I feel like camping doesn't work against Bowser, and I like never quite understand
It's
when I'm supposed to go in and like.
Yeah. So
Because like when I camp Bowser, it's like sure it works for a little bit, but he only needs to like catch me pulling bomb like one time, and then like his advantage is so crazy. Like I die so early.
Well, that's why, if you go back to what I was saying in the beginning, if you can work on learning to identify like when you're pulling bomb at the wrong times, you kind of are able to better recognize, okay, that's not the timing to do it, that's not the spacing to do it. And then on like the other end of the spectrum, so to speak, it's like you could be like, okay, I hit him here because he tried to punish, so now I know that I can catch him at these distances or at these timings, and he won't be ready for it. So in the same way that you're, having that extra awareness for your disadvantage, you're also giving it to yourself in advantage, so you can push on those openings better. Because that's what you want to do. You want to know when you hit somebody, like, where they're going to go, so you can already be there. Because if you're having to just straight react to something, like, oh, I didn't expect that to hit, then a lot of the times you're too slow. Like right there, you tried to hit me, right? But you didn't catch me. So, because I was too far away. So that's a moment where you could be like, okay, I tried to swing when maybe I didn't have the best timing, and not only that, but I wasn't close enough. So next time you go, all right, I got to pay a little bit more attention to my spacing. I got to make sure that I'm close enough to him, because if I risk it, I end up getting hit, and in that case, losing your stock. Same thing right there. You thought you had me. It might have worked, but I picked an option that won. The next time, you got to try and be a bit more careful from that, because that's a common option for banders to do when they're in disadvantage.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I say I play like the same against every character. Like, yeah, that would have worked against like a different character, but.
And that's, you might play the same against every character now, but you can start to develop the habits to recognize the individual character, things. Because while you say you play the same against every character, I don't doubt that maybe even subconsciously, when you fight, a fox, you keep in mind the reflector to some degree. So you might be a little bit more careful, or at least if they throw it out, you might be like, I got to be a little bit more crafty with my projectiles. So there are a lot of overlap, but that's likely because you haven't been giving yourself the ability to. You haven't really recognized it, that you have to change those things up. And that's what I want. That's why I point these things out, because, you're looking for a way to practice on your own better. This is how you do it. When you're playing against any of these characters, you can make those little observations. And as long as you're trying to acknowledge it, it's going to help commit it to your memory better. Because then you can attempt to come up with a better solution. It's not normal or expected to always have the answer or always be able to come up with the right answer after an interaction like that happens. But as long as you're acknowledging that it happened, acknowledging that a mistake was made, either because you messed up on your input or you kind of misread the situation and attempted something that didn't work, you can then try something else and see if it works. And it's kind of a trial and error process. And that's how I and a lot of other players have figured out matchups and characters. Sometimes you got to get beat time and time and time again to do it. And people learn at different rates. So what maybe takes me 1 month might take you 2 weeks, or vice versa.
Yeah, be more careful at ledge.
Yeah, it's a dangerous thing for sure.
3, 2, 1, go!
Certain characters are a lot more vulnerable there, other ones not so much. And a lot of people like to swing from the ledge too, so, you know, maybe if you space back a little bit and then throw a projectile, that can give you more time to react or get out of there if they try something.
I saw it and
It's alright. That's another situation. Like, alright, he's Wonder Winging. I'll play it a little bit safe. You have a lead. You don't have to force anything, you know?
Yeah, that's a big problem with me. Even with a lead, I'm still playing really aggressive.
I've thrown some of the largest tournament sets of my life doing that, so I know all too well. You're just like, I can get this attack in here, and then you die, and you're like, well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But sometimes you gotta have it really beaten into your head. You gotta have it knocked in some sense into you. And that's just part of it. I've made a lot of conscious effort in this last 3 months alone, while I'm doing a lot of Wi-Fi tournaments, to make sure that I'm not giving my opponent more than they deserve or more than they're earning. And it's helped a lot, but it's been a very deliberate effort on my part. I haven't been able to kind of just laze about with it. It's like I have to fight my urge to swing sometimes. But the best part is about that, I still do get to play aggressive in a lot of matchups in certain times, but I also get to beat the characters of the players that I feel like I should have been beating, before. They kind of lose that little bit of an advantage they had on me. Because it was never like my strategies didn't work. It's just maybe I was going a little bit overboard. I wasn't even sure if that was going to hit you, to be honest.
What?
Just did that terribly. Nice. Nice. So, before I say it, I want to ask you, how did that game feel compared to the last one? After we talked about a little bit about some of that stuff.
A lot better.
A lot
Honestly,
Okay.
the only change I made really was respecting that ledge.
And that's exactly what it was, right? You were able to acknowledge that with a little bit of guidance to get you kind of thinking about that, and then you applied it. And that's just one facet of the game because it's a bunch of small parts. And I'm of the viewpoint that if you're able to kind of compartmentalize the game and break it down into all these small parts, you can individually tweak all of them until they build a very cohesive game plan. And you did just that with the part we were talking about there. So maybe down the line, you eventually get good enough to where you can do it on your own in a bunch of different parts, or you get better at learning to recognize it. But the fact that you did it there already shows that you're able to change up your playstyle. You're not constantly running your head into that wall, not changing. You just need a little bit of help getting you there.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes, like if I'm playing like a best of 3 set, I'll really lose game 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then win game 2 and 3, but sometimes I can't even explain why I won. I'm like, I don't feel like I played any different. Like
subconscious adjustments. I've done the same thing. It's sometimes you just lose game 1 and
I wish I could put it into words.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why, because maybe it helped me in the matchup in the future. But I'm like, I played exactly the same as I did game 1, but or I probably didn't because like obviously I won that time.
Yeah.
But like.
There's a lot of different factors that go into it. I mean, sometimes your opponent plays differently. Sometimes you're able to capitalize on it. You might be better on certain things. I mean, I've lost a lot of tournament sets. I'll give you one. I was fighting an Ike player the other day in a bracket, and I felt like I was playing pretty bad that tournament, and I found out later my controller was actually broken. But game 1, he starts out playing Ike, and he's really aggressive on me, right? And he's all up on top of me, and I barely lose game 1. And I was super frustrated about it because I was like, all right, I should not be losing to this guy. I'm seeded to win. I know I can beat him. And then the next game, I took his first 2 stocks in 30 seconds. And it was like, on me, I was mad that I lost that game, and I was frustrated because I knew I could do it. And I made a much more conscious effort to pay attention to him and make sure that I was on top of stuff so that I could keep punishing him, and it paid off. And then the next game, I was like, okay, well, I won that second game, so he's probably going to try and change up his gameplay some. So let's still pay attention to him. Let's focus on my opponent. Just pick my safe options, my poke options. And in someone like Toon Link's case, that'd be a lot of, using this bomb, boomerang, bow options. Just poke. Try and kind of, frustrate them and then get an opening. But there are plenty of times where I beat players, or I'll be like, I don't know why I lost to them the way I did, and then destroy them the next game or win confidently. Sometimes you just adapt naturally. In an ideal world, you're going to be able to say why that happened, but you don't always get it. And if anything, if you really want to try and identify that, maybe start, saving the replays of some of your sets. So if it is one of those lose game 1.
I do, but like, I don't. I'm not very good at breaking
watching it back. That's fine, and that's also a separate skill. There's a lot of different things that you have to improve upon that don't always line up. But even if you watch them, you could be like, okay, let's see how I at least start with something simple. How are you losing your stocks in the first game compared to the 2 in the second and third? And then you can be like, oh, well, maybe I overcommitted here.
That's the only takeaway I can get when I watch VODs, which is
how you lose your stock.
How I lost the stock. So there's only really 3 takeaways I take from every VOD, which is how I lost my stock.
But do you feel like that's at least able to be like, oh, I swung here when I shouldn't have, or I did this when I shouldn't have? Or
more or less, that's what it boils down to.
Okay.
But like sometimes I don't even know why it was a bad option besides just boiling down to I died here. Like let's say I jumped from ledge and it cost me the game, but I'm like, jumping from ledge isn't always a bad option, so I don't know why.
No, but what you could do is you could maybe ask yourself like, okay, jumping from ledge isn't a bad option in normal circumstances, but I was at kill percent, so that left me in a vulnerable spot. And then if you want to take it one step further, you could look at the set and be like, what were my last few ledge options? Right? Was it maybe predictable that I was going to go up there, or did he just read me? Sometimes you can pick the right option and they can read it. And Smash Brothers is a game where if you get red, you're probably going to lose. Because they can appropriately pick the right option. So that's just how it is sometimes. But if you compare it to previous information in the game, you can build a more complete map of that game and know where it happened. Because you can watch the same VOD or match of yourself 10 times and find something different every time. I mean, that's how it is even for me, and I do this a lot more than the average Smash player. And that's good, because that means there's always more information to pull. So I think even starting at how did I just lose my stocks is a good start, but you could always take it a step further back, where you could look at different interactions where you get punished and try and problem solve on your own. Just why did this happen, and come up with some theories on your own, and that will help you at least get thinking about it, because you don't always have an answer. You won't always be able to come up with an answer immediately. but you need to start thinking about it and trying to solve it, because that will help you
I-
better.
sometimes I just feel like I have such like an elementary understanding of the game, like especially when I watch VODs. It makes me realize how little of the game I know, because like basically every interaction I can't really
Hmm.
take like nuanced interpretations of it.
That's
It boils down to like
that's
maybe I lost because I didn't camp hard, and
yeah.
maybe I should have.
That's normal. I've been coaching someone for a couple weeks now, and you know, as I've been helping him improve because we've been working pretty extensively together, he's told me that it actually feels a little disheartening at times because he felt like he was pretty good. He had a pretty good idea. And now he's like, I don't know what to do. He's like, as I've gotten better at the game, I don't know what to do against you anymore. And it's like, that's normal, because as you get better, you're able to kind of pick up on more information and more. So it's good that there's a lot that you don't know, because that means you can learn it. The room for growth is massive, as opposed to it being a diminishing return. So it does feel
Like
daunting.
I guess like let's say if I'm fighting a Mario, like if I'm watching a VOD, basically my understanding of why I lost the stock would just be
Hmm.
I let Mario hit me, or like
Yeah.
he got to combo me. Like that's as far as it goes without me being like, why did that happen? Because sometimes I'm just like I'm standing there and then he just got an up air on me or something, and it's like, and now I'm just like, should I? Is it because I didn't hold shield in that one instance he landed in the up air? Like, is
Yeah.
that why I took 60%? Like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know if I'm thinking too macro. It's like really hard to get like
Um.
when I'm watching vlogs
So
at least.
it's hard to just explain it without watching it, and I don't want to say do this if you don't want to do it, but like in a hypothetical, if we were to like watch a VOD together, right, like in one of these sessions, I can try to help you break down it, because when we do it, I'm not going to break down every single interaction over the course of it, because it would take forever, but I could try and point out key ones where maybe you're spot dodging here because this happened, and I could try and, you know, break the game down around that. An example I can give you is, let's look at something like Olimar up smash. It's that move that everyone hated. It got nerfed, right? So early on in Ultimate, everyone would try to shield grab up smash. Didn't matter who it was, and you couldn't do it if I spaced it right? So it just wasn't an option. So I would spot dodge after the up smash, and I'd punish them. Now, that happened because in their brain, they thought, I got hit, I get to punish. And they were also kind of unlearning Smash 4 habits, which was shield grabbing. But it was the reasoning behind them doing that is they weren't recognizing that they were getting hit by something that was safe. They were just saying, I got hit, I should get to shield grab. Right? And then I would exploit that and punish them. And that's something that still happens to this day, just to a lesser extent. So a lot of the times when you're in those situations, even if you're not recognizing it, you might be spot dodging or jumping or rolling because you're scared or you've been coerced into something. And that's your kind of instinct fight or flight response kicking in and picking an option for you. And that's why maybe you're having a hard time, you know, understanding the scenario watching it back, because you're not even necessarily aware of why you would do it to begin with.
Oh god. I think this is Tiddling's hardest matchup.
Well, you've been doing decent so far, so we'll see how it goes. Just, you know, stick to your guns, and if there's some stuff in there, I'll point out any glaring issues that I see. Maybe help.
You're gonna see me try to punish a lot of stuff that's safe.
One, go!
Like right there, I read your jump from the ledge. So that's something you would acknowledge. You'd be like, all right, I got to hit the jump. Maybe don't jump next time at that spacing.
Oh. I'm like, what?
Like that spot dodge there that you did, that was out of fear because you missed a move and you're like, I have to punish. When something like a shield would have been adequate as well. Sure, I could have grabbed you, but I didn't.
Yeah, basically, if I ever whiff a smash attack, I'll probably spot dodge after it.
And it definitely,
I would like to break out of that habit, but
the best way to do it is just keep acknowledging when you do it. You have to really try to train yourself to be like, okay, I shouldn't have done that. And that's why, I'm calling it out now. But, when I'm not here, you're gonna have to hold yourself to that same level of accountability.
huge.
Good attempt. So you were doing solid there, but there was a couple important things that you ended up doing that kind of cost you, like at the ledge there. Do you know why? Do you remember? It's alright if you don't. Why I ended up getting you off stage there?
I don't remember. I remember one instance. I tried to do a read, like when an ad smashed it.
Yeah.
Didn't
So
work.
at the end there,
I don't know how to guess it.
no, it's fine, it's fine. At the end there, what happened was you down tilted me once, and I didn't punish, and that was an instance where you could have ideally recognized, okay, I got my one hit, he didn't punish, maybe I should shield or maybe I should roll out of there or something. But instead, what happened is you down tilted again. And by you doing that, that made me more equipped. Because after the first one, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready. Because I knew I wasn't going to be able to punish that first one, right? So I held my shield again. And then when you did it the second time, I was able to get my shield grab and knock you off stage. Right?
Okay.
So those types of things that I'm...
Down tilt safe, but like... this is going to sound really lame, but like I just found out that down tilt was safe like a week ago.
So no, it's...
I've been trying to use it more, but like I'm not like...
It's good that you know that now.
Right now too.
Right? But like, let's look at down tilt and see how it turned from safe to not safe. So when you do down tilt, it is -6, which is, like you said, safe. Now, if you go down tilt into down tilt, so it's -6, which means I get to act 6 frames before you, but you have a 9 frame starter for another down tilt. That's 15 total frames. That's shield grabbable.
Okay.
So that's how shield pressure can kind of find openings in it, because that button in itself is safe, but what you're doing after can slow it down. And that can give your opponent openings, and that's why eventually when that Mario does that, the back air into the jab, that jab is not safe. Or if a Roy does like a jab into like a jab again, there's an opening between those two moves. But the move itself can be safe. So I think it's little things like that, and I'm glad that you said you remember the F smash. It's those types of moments where you're messing up or you're making mistakes, where you got to try and call yourself out. And that's the biggest thing I want you to take from this, so that you can keep working forward no matter what character you're playing, and try and, when you mess up, so, say it out loud if you have to, say it after the game, whatever, but just try to keep recognizing those mistakes so you can try different things in the future, because you are making adjustments in these games even if you don't feel like it. But I do want to touch down on We Can Play a Game. I do want to touch down on what you said about you feel like Toon Link is limited compared, so you've thought about maybe playing a different character or something like that. If you want to play Toon Link, I think you should play him. If that is someone you genuinely enjoy. If you're not enjoying him, it's okay to shop around and play a different character or try others out. You're not forced into doing any one thing. But I will say it's important to kind of, what are your overarching goals with this game or with Toon Link? Is it to be the #1 player in the world? Is it just to win a tournament? Is it to get power ranked? Is it to win a couple sets? Like, what is it?
Honestly, like, I had really grandiose goals, but like I keep lowering the bar.
I mean,
because like at the start, like even my Twitter bio says like I want to be like a top Toon Link, but
that's doable.
and at the start of the game, it felt almost doable, like because all the other Toon Links kind of switched to Young Link, and there weren't many left, and everyone was kind of starting from the same spot. And I was putting a lot of work into Toon Link, like kind of his tech, his meta. So, like I don't want to say like pioneered, but like I came up with like a lot of tech that I taught to some of like the other like more well-known Toon Links, like Marvelous Marco.
Nice.
Or, like, but obviously, like they like got a lot better, and I'm still kind of stuck here at mid-level.
Okay. So
not even like knowing how to.
Do you think you're not capable of being a top Toon Link?
I don't know.
Don't answer. You know what? Don't answer that. I don't want to discourage you. No, you are. I think everyone's capable of doing it. It just some people need a little bit more, work in certain areas.
It was just like discouraging because it's like I felt like I was starting at the same level as everyone. All my Toon Link friends, we were going even more or less. But then they got like really good.
Some people learn at different rates. It's just because you're, maybe not at the level you want to be or where they're at doesn't mean you can't do it. It means maybe you haven't, you're not exposed to the same practice or the same stimulus of the people they are. So they might have gotten, help from other places or had different things, or they're just different people. That's normal and it's expected. I mean, I know Olimar players that haven't, that are just now blooming and they've been playing since Smash 4 and stuff, and it's good to see them still popping off now because they've been working hard at it. The game is hard. You're fighting other people. So I definitely think you're more than capable of being a top Toon Link if that's a goal you want. It just might require a little bit more work than maybe you were ready for at first. Not to say you can't do it now, but...
Yeah, and in Smash 4, like, my dream was to be power ranked in my region, but with this game it just seems way harder.
Well, it's never going to be easy. It's never. You're always going to have to work really hard for these types of things.
And it's just like really discouraging because I feel like I'm a really bad player, but people are like, "Oh no, you're not bad. You're good." But like, I don't have like.
You hold yourself to a better standard. Yeah, I understand.
And it's not even like I hold myself to like a high standard. I just think results kind of define whether something's good or not. And I don't have like any results. Like I've never beaten anyone PR'd in my 4 years playing, like in my region.
I mean, I've.
And basically, like high school kids will show up and they've started with Ultimate and they're already taking games off PR people in the region.
I mean, you play a character that is going to be harder than if you played like Wolf or
Yeah,
other
and sometimes
stuff like that.
at first, like I'm just kind of like, oh, whatever. He's playing like a character that's gonna carry him. That's why.
And if
I have to
you're
work harder, but at the same time, I just feel like I'm just making excuses. Sure, they're playing Wolf or whatever, but I could pick up Wolf and it would not be the same result.
I mean, my Olimar is by far and away my best character. Like, there's a night and day difference between the abilities I can do with him and then every other character in the cast. Does that mean I'm bad at the game? No, that means I've put my time into mastering him more than anyone else. But something you have to accept, and I think you have, but maybe sometimes you get a little second guessing on it, is if you want to play Toon Link, that's fine. If you want to be a top Toon Link, that's fine. But don't compare yourself to these other people. They're not in the same circumstances as you. They're not doing the exact same thing as you, right? They're not you, so you might learn differently. You might have a skill set they have, or that they don't have that you do better. You just haven't realized it. And I've met players that are really bad at the game. Like, I mean, really, really, really bad. And I can already tell you right now, you are not in that camp, right? You might not be where you want to be, or you might not be beating those PR players. But that doesn't mean you can't do it. That just means you need to a little bit more guidance maybe in how you're doing it and to restructure how you work. You have
Like, I just feel like I'm in a weird limbo where, because in Smash 4, I was like, I thought I was good, or like decent at the game.
Yeah.
But like looking back, I was like, wow, I didn't understand anything about Smash 4, and I was just really carried by the fact that Toon Link is probably a lot higher of a tier than he is in this game. And now that I understand the character a little bit more, now I'm just
Do you
kinda-
think that if you swapped characters though that would solve your problem? Because wouldn't you
I'm not-
probably run into a similar spot eventually
Uh,
where maybe you would be like, I feel like I'm struggling here and I shouldn't be? Because I think that
I
you're
think so. But like at the same time, if I put 4 years, like I just feel scared to swap to another character at this point because I'm just like
no, I get it.
I can't put the time
I've
that I put in.
thought about quitting Smash a few times, and the reason I
Yeah,
probably
and that's kind of
haven't
what it
is
boils down
because
to.
I'm like, so much time's been put into this, and I don't want it to go to waste.
Rather than switching characters, I'd probably quit first, then try to like build up another character.
I
to
can't
Toon Link's level.
tell you what to do in this regard. I think that's something you have to really sit down and dig
Yeah.
deep with yourself. But I think you are more than capable to be a Toon Link that you're more proud of as a player. Be like, I can beat some PR players. I can, be a top Toon Link eventually if you really put in the work for it. But you might have to work twice as hard as the other people. It might just
I'm
be
realizing that.
there, and it's frustrating, but that's something you have to accept, right? I've had to accept that with my character.
I don't mind working twice as hard as long as I know it is possible, but
It is.
sometimes it just feels like
That's
I want you to light up
totally
every
normal.
time.
That's how it is. You will be like, why aren't I seeing the fruits of my labors? And a lot of the times when you improve, you might not recognize it, or because it's small little things. But yes, you are very much capable of hitting those milestones you would like. And it might not come now, but 4 years is nothing in the grand scheme of things. It's relatively small. Like, sure, there's a lot of new players who do well, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, a lot of the best Ultimate players are not new Ultimate players. They are Smash 4 players or Brawl players, or So it's carried on because that skill builds on itself. So once you get a bit better at maybe recognizing certain things, and the game clicks a little bit better in certain ways, for all you know, your adaptations
It's
can be
interesting that you
faster.
mentioned Brawl, because when this game first came out, everyone was kind of saying, "Oh, you're going to be really good because you have all the Smash 4 knowledge that carried over," and all the Brawl players were super good at Smash 4, so I thought it'd be like kind of similar, but it didn't feel similar at all. Like,
No, it's a very different game. There are
I felt
common
in
Smash
fact,
fundamentals that'll transfer, but overall you're getting a different experience. And if you're not totally sure on how to apply those concepts or those general situations, then it's not going to it's not a freebie, right? Like, you don't get it just because it's the same series or whatever.
in fact, it felt like my Smash 4 habits held me back more than.
That could be because you're at a point where maybe you're struggling to catch these habits and these flaws because you're not as dialed in or as aware when you're playing. It might be a very autopilot heavy thing, and that doesn't mean you're bad at the game. You don't know what you're doing. That means you haven't developed that specific skill. I teach a lot of students who all have that same problem. They don't realize what's happening in the game, or they'll have like a very loose idea of it. And you're very much in that same camp. But those players, I've had players that have went on, and beat like a PR player, or went in, did better at the tournament, top 8 or stuff like that. So it's possible, and it might not be an immediate thing for you, but it's a lot of repeated effort. And I think
and it's like, I feel like it is possible because when I go to majors, I like doing money matches and
Mhm.
pick up brackets and like do really well at them. Like I was able to like beat Meister like in like one of those like
Yeah.
ladder brackets and like money match Kittles went like 2-2. And I feel like, it's possible, but then when I get into a real bracket, it's just like I look like I've never played the game in my life.
There are different. You're not the only person that suffers from that. I've even local players on my scene who feel like they're crazy good in friendlies, but then they get in bracket and they get destroyed relative to where they feel like they should be. And there are different people play different in brackets. Sometimes people play safer naturally. They play a little bit more on top of different timings and stuff, and that's just how it is. That doesn't mean you can't beat them in tournament. That just means maybe you're not as aware of those changes. But that's what the goal of this is. So after this session, when you go practice with me or not with me, online or offline or whatever it is, really, really pay attention to your mistakes. Anytime you are getting hit, and it's not, you were not anticipating the hit there, or like you did something, you need to ask yourself why it happened. You want to try and come up with an answer, and you can ask your opponent too. Like, it's okay to ask your friends or whatever when you're practicing, like, hey, can I punish that, or what's the best way to punish this move? You can open a dialect with your partner, your practice partners and stuff, and just keep trying to be aware of the problems, how you can fix them, how you can be better, because that's going to train you, because it'll probably start like maybe after the game you'll be like, well, I remember this one stock or these two instances where I made a big mistake, and as long as you keep trying to do that and keep actively trying to think about it, you get better at recognizing it in the game. Right, so like every time you're hitting me, I'm being able to be like, okay, you hit me here because I attacked when I shouldn't have, or I rolled when I shouldn't have, or I miscalculated, or I misspaced, right? And do I always have the right answer? No, because you keep hitting me. But I'm still trying to do it, and that's what you want. And as long as you don't force yourself to be like, I have to do it within this time frame, I have to do this, you're gonna be a lot better off, I think, because then you're gonna let yourself. It'll loosen some of those like fears, I guess, or maybe that stress, and instead you'll be. Oh. I should be right. And instead, you'll be able to just enjoy the game. Because you enjoy playing the game, I assume, right? Like, yeah, and you enjoy hanging with your friends, I imagine, who also play the game. And that's what... Oh, I got you. And that's what it's all about, really. Like, if you enjoy the game and you enjoy what you're doing, then it makes that time that you're investing a lot more meaningful. I won't lie to you. I'm not where I want to be with this game. I feel like a lot of my time has been wasted. I haven't made the most out of it too with my competitive experience. And I know I'm a lot, better off than a lot of people put in time, but I still have my own goals. And what I've had to learn is that I can feel like I'm not doing it or I'm not able to. But recently, especially because I've had, to do my own self-improvement, it's literally just been like, I have to work harder and I have to commit to it. And I do double down on that because it's very important to me.
I understand that I have to work harder. I just like have a really bad mentality, I think.
It's
the game, so
not easy. And I think the fact that you're trying to get coaching now with me or just taking any other step is good, because that shows that you want to fix it and you just don't know necessarily the best way to do it. And it'll change, with every person. What works for me won't always work for you. But that's why I try to give you these general ways to start improving and start catching yourself. So, moving forward, just even if you have to watch back this video to just touch over some of the topics we talked about, do that. But practice for 2 weeks, and then if you want, you can message me and you can be like, hey, I feel like I'm not, let me know if you're able to try and catch these things a little better. It might be a very slow process, but as long as you're trying to do it consistently, and you're going to have days where your headspace is just not super great for it, and sometimes you just need to take a little break, maybe take the day off, maybe take a couple hours off, just not play right now. But as long as you're getting back into it and you're really trying, I guarantee you, with enough elbow grease, dedication, and effort, you can reach that goal. And I think Toon Link is more than viable for whatever your goal is. If your goal is being power ranked in your region, you can do it with Toon Link, without a doubt.
I hope so. I don't know. I think my region's a little top heavy, and it's been like a lot harder. I think my dream of PR feels like a lot further away.
It might be further away, but it's possible, right? I mean, I got told early in Smash 4, drop Olimar, he's trash, because he was way worse than Brawl. And I got told that by DeBuzz, because that was early on. We weren't that good of friends. He just said the character's trash, don't play him. And then I eventually went on to be a top 3 player in Florida with just Olimar. Eventually got PGR'd with just Olimar. So, you know, I got told by one of the best Olimars in Brawl, don't play the character, he's trash. And then I went and said, oh, no, he's not. I just have to show you that he's not, right? And there are those preconceived notions that maybe it's out of reach. Sure, but it's doable.
Like, yeah, I don't think he's trash. Like, I don't
No,
think Toon Link's,
he's
like,
not.
trash,
He's
but
not.
it's just like sometimes he just feels outclassed, and people are just like, why do you play Toon Link over Young Link? What does Toon Link have that Young Link
He's fun. That's what you do.
doesn't? And like sometimes I can't answer that. I'm like, yeah, he's worse, but I think he's cuter. Like that's literally what it boils
Yeah,
down
you
to.
don't-
Like,
You don't
Toon Link's
need
cuter.
to answer anybody's reasons why you do it. As long as you enjoy playing the character, that is the most appropriate reason, right? Why do you think people play Little Mac devoutly? Why do you think people play Ganondorf? Everyone knows they're not good, but they do it because they're the characters they enjoy and they want to push themselves. It's the same reason I solo main Olimar. I could pick an easier character or maybe a better character or kind of pick bad matchups, but I do it my way because that's what I want. That makes me enjoy the game more, and it makes my accomplishments feel more substantial to me. So with you, yeah, your character does have flaws, and you will have to recognize them, but you can still learn to play around them. I've had to do that with my character. Other people had to do that with theirs. So whereas you might get in a scenario where you feel like, Toon Link does have an option here, you know, if you go back and were to watch that video, you could go, well, how did I get in that situation? And maybe you go back a step or two and you go, oh, here's where I got hit because I did this wrong option, and that put me in the spot, right? So it builds on itself. And then you can always find an area to be better, because there's no time where you're 100% unable to win. You're unable to pick an option. But I think that's a good place to end it. I think you just got to keep working at this stuff. Really, really try to just be as aware and accountable of your mistakes as possible, you know, with the aggressiveness thing. If you're fighting someone and you're going aggressive, right, and you like, let's say you're winning and you keep going in, and you're kind of like, you can feel them kind of getting the lead back. Straight up, if you have to, just be like, tell yourself, like, stop approaching. I've had to do that mid-tournament. I will say it out loud, so I stop approaching, so I don't give away my lead. You know, try to acknowledge it when you get hit, because that, when you're getting hit or when something's going wrong, that's a great opportunity to break that kind of autopilot, that mental train, so to speak, and go, oh, nope, I can look at the game real quick. I notice, I'm losing. Go back to my other strategy, right? And just keep doing that, and that's going to help you kind of find a better way to stop just the straight aggression, but not necessarily have to cancel it altogether, because it's your character, it's your playstyle. You can play however you want, but you can tweak it with more effective strategies to maintain your own style without losing it.
Before we end, sorry, do you mind if we do one game on Olimar?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fine. No problem.
Very curious. Haven't really like looked up Olimar.
Yeah, you're fine.
Here. I thought I'm hip at a local once, but he like it was kind of close, and then he switched off to Cloud. And
Yeah,
told me,
yeah,
and
he
I
doesn't.
I felt really bad. I'm like, oh, that's great counterpick.
See what I meant? Yep, yep.
I told you I would be one of those people who would do it.
It just feels so shield grabbable, that's the problem.
Really smart. have like a too much sun. How do you- That's right.
Oh, nice parry.
Like how the Pikmin just messes up my timings for
Oh, yeah, they
all my
ruin it.
moves, so like
They ruin it all.
my F tail with a Pikmin on me looks like it's like frame 30. Thank you for indulging me.
No, no, you're fine. You're fine. Happy to do it. I know a lot of people, like I say, I always do it to try and give them a more digestible experience. But I'm more than happy to give them a game or two or whatever with the Olimar if they really want it. But no, I mean, what we talked about, I just keep working with it, and I think you'll get there. It's hard, extremely hard, and some days are going to be tougher than others. But that doesn't mean you can't do it. And that underlying self-confidence is the most important thing, because you have to believe that you're able to do it and push through that difficulty. And don't let people tell you, why do you play this character? Oh, I don't think the character can do it. You might second guess, but I guarantee you, if you comb over the footage or if you really sit down and think about it, you could come up with different ways to start winning. And as long as you start thinking about it more like we talked about, you'll get there.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.